guys know I'm a big Derek Carr fan. I'm glad that he landed with his old coach. This was actually his coach when they made the playoffs. If you guys remember, before they
2016?
fired. Huh?
2016 or
No,
this
that
last
was
year?
Jack Del Rio. That was Jack Del Rio last year. Uh, Before they got what's his name? When they lost in the playoffs to Cincinnati. I believe him having Michael Thomas, having that running back core. He has Kamara coming out of the backfield. He has that rookie. Well, not rookie, not this year, but Olave, and he has some good tight ends, and he has a good offensive line. I'm happy for him going to New Orleans. I feel he's gonna look at the quarterbacks now that he has to compete against in the NFC South, and look at the top tier that he had to go from in the AFC West to who he's going to be playing for now. I think they win the division, and I think they do big things in New Orleans for him. He has a good defense. You guys got to remember that too. So
Can I go first on this? Because I got a lot to say about this. I found out that a couple things. One, the Saints every year have 25% less money than every other team because they are paying players that don't play for them anymore. This is why they suck. They can never build because they're always in cap debt, which I think is why Amos is so against the Lamar thing, is because they'll be in that big cap hole. But this is just even worse.
I'll just say one thing, KJ. That's great thing that you just said. I'll just say this one thing. It's all you. Yeah, they push their funds into the following year, and you kind of said this earlier, KJ. The cap always goes up, but yet for them, and that's why they push their funds, because they think they're going to get an extra amount of money. So that's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's they push their funds the following year, and they really started it with Drew Brees. Go ahead, KJ. Keep going. Sorry.
Well, and another thing is that, like, how good is Michael Thomas? I haven't really been watching a lot of Saints games, but I heard that he's been ass since he came back from that injury. And on top of that, he's talking about. Yeah. I saw they said that he did a tweet where he was like, "Thank God" when they signed Derek Carr, and they're like saying, people are saying the only reason why he's still on the Saints is because it costs $12 million to cut him. It'll cost $12 million more to cut him than just to keep him.
No, Michael Thomas the year before he got hurt. What was he averaging? He's a good possession receiver. He's one of the best receivers out there.
But that was also 2 years ago, wasn't it?
But that was the year after he sat out.
That was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
it was a while.
But he sat out.
He sat out
after,
right?
Because he didn't want to.
He hasn't been the same since he came back, though.
Yeah, because he went from 17.
That's why they drafted Olave.
That's why they have Olave. But at the same time, when you can still have a short-handed receiver like Michael Thomas as a veteran, and look what Olave did this year. Let's be honest, he should have got Rookie of the Year, I believe, the way he was playing.
Wait, I thought he did.
What's the status on Kamara?
Kamara is coming out.
Isn't he going through like criminal charges or something?
Yeah,
Didn't he have
facing some criminal charges that could.
He beat it.
That case. That was the one that he beat that case.
I swear they kept pushing that though.
They did, but I guess the way it happened is, remember, it happened during not Pro Bowl weekend, but it was something that he got into an altercation with somebody, and they that's what I'm saying. So from what I heard is that he's done with that already. That I guess he just had to pay a fine or something. From what
I hadn't seen anything about it, so I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, and then
either way, Michael Thomas he went from 100 or 1,700 yards to 400 to not playing to last year only playing 3 games and having 100 yards.
But also,
that 1,700 yard year was a record year too, because didn't he break the catch completion record?
Who do you have at
completion as quarterback?
Are you sure? Because I thought they were talking about how Jetta's was going to break it this year, and it was Calvin Johnson's record.
No, he didn't. He broke the record, bro.
For most yards or what? What was the record?
For most receptions.
Most receptions?
Yeah.
No, time out.
And like I said,
did he though? Or are we getting the year Drew Brees completed it to him, and it was Drew Brees' record? Or did they both set a record that year, Efren?
I'm looking at it right now. Most receptions in a season.
Okay,
so
year, right?
No. So yeah, Michael Thomas set it in 2019 for receptions.
Yeah, was it the same? And who was throwing to him?
Same year as,
and that was Drew Brees last year.
Yeah, I don't know about
Bro,
that.
He's 30 years old too, and we're talking about. Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, Cooper Kupp was only 4 off from breaking that record last 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
And Devontae Adams was a couple off.
Colin, are you saying him being 30, like as it's almost like he's too like basically we're almost saying he's falling off? I know Efren's saying he's not, but are you saying him being 30 like it's kind of wild that he's falling off? Because I was almost going to compare it to almost.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's only 30 years old.
It's very familiar with Gordon, right? Remember Efren? Gordon was like a superstar with Cleveland. He takes a few years off because of drug issues and being like suspended, right? And then Josh Gordon comes back to the Seahawks, or I think Seahawks were the first team they brought him back, and he was a shell of his former self, and he was only still 29, 30. So despite his age, I do think it's a situation where sometimes when you sit for a few years, it's tough to really.
But it also goes to show what smoking ganja can do to your career too, though, bro. That probably took some.
Yeah, it's not going to kill you, but it's going to mess up your lungs.
That's why he's in the XFL now.
Yeah. I want to know. I want to know anything about that.
But like I said, with Derek, and that's so in that situation, Derek has weapons, and like I said, Michael last 2 years or 3 years or 2 years, who's he had throwing to him? If you actually look at it, we have Jameis Winston, which is he's a decent quarterback, but not top whatever.
He can.
They were talking him up that first year he was in New Orleans, bro. He was going to do great things and stuff because Peyton was the quarterback guru.
The thing with him is that he's a great thrower and he can get a lot of yards. He just turns the ball over way too much, and that's where I see a lot of. That's where I see a lot of. That's why I have a problem with Josh Allen too. I see a lot of Jameis Winston in him, but but he can get Michael Thomas the ball.
So do you guys think that the contract that Derek got, he should have got paid less or paid more? What do you?
I don't think that the Saints should have signed him. The Saints need to just rebuild. I think he should have went somewhere else.
So here, let me answer that. So it's tough because his contract is about top 10 now, top 12. So it's not like a crazy amount.
I think it's 10th, yeah. 10th?
Yep. And that's the thing. That's kind of the market for someone around that, So they didn't overpay. They didn't really underpay. But I'll say that
they did underpay because if you actually look at it, the Raiders are still paying them too. Right or wrong?
Okay,
that's true. They are paying him this year
because even though they cut him.
So either way, though, I hear you, Efren. I'm just saying, I tend to agree. And sorry for cutting KJ off because KJ said that he thinks it was the wrong decision, and I kind of agree with that. But I heard something interesting, KJ, though. So let me just play devil's advocate with you, KJ. But I do tend to agree with you. So while I agree, the Saints probably aren't true contenders. Maybe they should have rebuilt, KJ. One good thing I'll ask you, KJ, is when you think about that division, though, who is the best QB in that division, KJ, right now?
It's Derek Carr now, by far. But the thing with that is, though, are you gonna? It's not like a king situation. Whereas if you make the playoffs, it's just gonna be all, wow, we made the playoffs, we're so excited. You bring Derek Carr in, who has played phenomenal with shitty defense. If he doesn't play up to this, it's a question of how well is he gonna play? Is he gonna play to the level of his team? Or is he just going to be the same way he was on the Raiders? Or is he going to be better, or is he just going to be the same? Because you expect him to be better now that he has a top 5 defense.
And that's what the Saints do. The Saints do expect him to be better, right? Because they gave him the contract, so that's what they're banking on. At the end of the day, we don't know this, but I'm just playing devil's advocate in the sense that, they might not be the best team, but when you have the best QB in that division, that gives you a good advantage, a good stronghold over that division. And let's be honest, too, that division isn't very good. I mean, the Falcons are terrible. The Panthers are the number one pick, and hell, maybe the Panthers might end up having the best QB. But right now you can't say that. And then who else? The Bucks, who probably have the most talent, but man, they have no QB, no offensive line.
And they're talking about letting the running back go and somebody else too on that team. They're talking about just releasing him.
Are they trying to trade him? Mike Evans too? Is he on trade? Mike Evans?
There was some rumors about that, but no, they were releasing a couple of who's the number 2 receiver on that team?
Godwin.
Godwin. He's going to probably
go. Yeah, they were talking about releasing Godwin.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying though, this is a time now for the Saints to strike though, because they're in such that division is terrible, So I don't know, KJ. I do tend to agree with you. I really do. I don't sound like
KJ. Because what does that get you? I mean, what does that get you? A first round loss in the playoffs?
That's the thing, yeah.
Okay, so since we cut him before the deadline, we're not paying Derek Carr. I think we're only paying him.
We're not.
I think it's like $5 million.
I thought it was. Okay,
they're off the hook for $40 million, and they would have had to pay him 41 point something. I don't know exactly how it works. But they saved a lot of money.
$5 million less or $4 million less that he got from New Orleans.
Yeah,
because he's at 37.5.
But no, what I'm saying, like you guys said, what does that get them? That gets them into the playoffs, and you lose in the first. It's kind of like Seattle, or not Seattle. Was Seattle the number 1? No, the Niners were.
But also you got to remember this too, that defense. If they are paying Derek to what he said, look how many games he's gonna have to worry about winning in his division, which is hard to do. But how many games is he gonna have to win his division to make the playoffs?
And you're right, bro. Because didn't Tampa Bay have a losing record and won the division?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Not the Seahawks.
About that.
Tampa.
So I mean, But again, what does that get you? That probably gets you a first round game against somebody like Dallas or Philadelphia.
And now you don't
whoever
get the picks
doesn't win that division, right?
Hold on. Yeah, but hold on. But also, you got to remember this too. That division, even though if it's that bad, and I understand. Who knows if they're going to play that bad in that division? You understand? It makes it easier, don't you believe, sometimes?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Just based on what we were saying. Yeah. I mean, Panthers are rebuilding. Even if they hit with the quarterback pick in the first round, they're still rebuilding. They're still 2, maybe 3 years away from doing anything. Atlanta is a bust, bro. They're a bust. And then Tampa Bay, if they start letting people go and they have nobody to run that team, what does that leave them?
So it's a scarier team to face in the playoffs, right?
You said what?
Am I wrong? Isn't it a scarier team than Tampa Bay was? That's what I'm trying to say.
It's scarier, but still not a. It's hard to because I mean.
Still not you're talking. He's got one playoff game under his belt. One playoff game,
and you're talking about. Michael Thomas, is he even going to be healthy? And even if he is he going to play at the same level? You got a sophomore wide receiver, which we know people hit that sophomore slump sometimes. Is he going to be able to play through that? And you got a running back who's never hit 1,000 yards. Kamara's never hit 1,000 yards.
Yeah, but he has led the league in touchdowns a couple of times, bro.
Hey,
I don't know. It doesn't show.
Receiver coming in.
No?
The draft, right, Amos?
He led the league in rushing and receivings combined 1 year, but that was it.
Hold on.
Okay.
But this is where I see another receiver coming in the draft for them. Right or wrong, Amos?
But then you're talking about another rookie, though, bro. Somebody that's unproven.
True.
But you know what? Derek Carr has made some no-names look pretty good. I mean, Darren Waller was a nobody, and now he's everybody.
I thought he was a good. Are you sure?
He was a nobody in Baltimore. But he was a nobody in Baltimore.
Yeah, let me jump in though for a second, guys. So, but like I said, I do see what Efren's saying because, man, let me also say this: like we said, the teams in that division, it would be kind of hard for the fan base to say, "Hey, guys, we're going to rebuild." When you look at the teams from that division, and they're all in a rebuild, right? Again, I don't need to name the Falcons. You have the Panthers who have the first pick. And then you have the Buccaneers who just lost the GOAT, right? So all these teams are in these massive transitions, these massive rebuild stages. And the crazy thing about the Saints, KJ, you kind of brought up that point, they're already in debt. And so because of that, they can't trade those players and get assets out of that, right? So you're basically having to roll with them or cut them and get nothing. So they're kind of in this tricky situation where like you're not getting nothing for Kamara. He's making too much money, too many legal situations. DeAndre Jordan, phenomenal older player, but way too much money.
Ooh.
He's an older guy. So DeAndre Jordan, what's the oh my god, maybe I said that wrong.
Cameron Jordan?
Cameron
Jordan. That's what
Jordan.
it is.
Cameron Jordan. Yeah.
Right, thank you. So Cameron Jordan from Cal, he's like 33 or 34, great pass rusher, man, still at his age, but like, yeah, you're not going to get anything for him. So I just think the Saints are in a situation where you can't really get aspects if you want to do the rebuild. And because the teams are so bad, it's kind of like, well, shoot, why not, man? We already have kind of a good squad. We have guys who are ready to win now. Let's just go for it, And so I get it, KJ and Allen. Like, we're looking at it from a standpoint of, man, just rebuild, start over fresh. But they're thinking of it like, well, one round, you can win the second round. Who knows? You might get lucky at that second round. You get to the conference finals. Who knows?
It's kind of like, because you see how, what is it called? The Rams, they went all in. You can't go all in because you don't have the money. And now if you start winning, if you start making the playoffs, and even if you win the first round, you're going to probably go against the number 1 seed and get blown out or smoked. Now you got a terrible pick. So it's like you're going to be stuck in mediocrity, kind of like the Bengals were, or not the Bengals. Who was can't remember.
I'll just say be careful.
Huh?
Be careful using the Rams as an example though, because the Rams, they traded so many first round picks, and obviously they won. So it's funny because people are making fun of the Rams now. Well, they'd have done it. They'd have done it 10 times if they would have known that they would have won that Super Bowl. So they still would have done it.
Absolutely. But they're going to be paying for it for the next 5-6 years.
And they will be, but they still would have done it, And so my point is the Saints have to I get what you're saying, KJ, but I'm just saying the Saints didn't have to trade first round picks for something like that. All you're doing is just giving. And if it wasn't going to be to Derek Carr, it would have been to like an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. You know what I'm saying? So
that defense
which is
kind of young,
and that's where I'm just like, that's where I say like I think Derek Carr deserved it. I think Derek Carr deserved it.
It's Cameron Jordan. They got 2 guys that are 33.
I think Derek Carr deserved it. I just don't think the Saints should have gave that to him.
I'll see what happens.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, KJ. I would definitely agree with that. They got a bargain because they got him for less than Daniel Jones. But if you think about it, he probably was worth more than Daniel Jones because of what he's done in his career.
Yeah,
right.
And I mean, like, what are they still doing with Taysom Hill?
They still overpaid for him, right?
What are they doing with Taysom Hill?
I don't, I mean, yeah, granted, you may have a shot at winning in the first round of the playoffs, but I don't really think you do because even if it is a home game, you're probably going to have to play either a powerhouse defense, Cowboys, or a powerhouse offense and defense, Philadelphia, in the first round. Whoever doesn't win that division. Right? Right?
Yeah.
But can I play one more devil's advocate a little bit? So if we would have been doing this podcast last year at the same exact date, right, guys? We wouldn't have said the Eagles. We wouldn't have said the Cowboys. So to that point, the NFC East, right? Efren, you remember this. The NFC East went from absolute garbage division to the best division in football. So, yes, that sounds right now, Alan, and you're right. And you probably will be right next year, too, just to be clear.
But you want to run the division?
I'm just saying next year is a long.
Here's devil's advocate too. Think about this. What if Lamar ends up in Washington? Then and that team is ready to win too.
I don't want
them to win is the general.
In Baltimore.
Yeah, but that's not even. But Alan, that's not in your division. I hear what you're saying, but like no teams are going to be like, oh man, let's not sign Derek Carr because I'm certainly worried if an NFC team is going to sign Lamar Jackson, then oh man, you know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying, but like that's a small little detail that they're not going to worry about.
I'm just saying though.
What about Lamar goes to Atlanta?
Even then, I don't think they're ready. They're not going to. I mean, Lamar will be the best quarterback in that division.
Does Atlanta have the money to do it?
Yeah, they do.
I don't know.
They do?
I'm pretty sure they do.
Well, no, yeah. Atlanta doesn't have like any crazy contracts. In fact, their left tackle. Tampa Bay does not have the money, man. They could probably. That's the thing about NFL, though. You could always make the money in the NFL because, again, they just push the funds the following year.
Yeah,
or you end up
I'll just do it.
You can
What about Miami, guys? What if he ended up in Miami?
Tua already got his fifth option.
exactly. Tell him that, Brandon. Tell him that.
Atlanta's second in cap space.
Tua
Yeah.
got his fifth option and picked up.
I like the
Yeah,
NBA.
they picked up the fifth, but I mean, if they trade, I would imagine he'd be part of that. He'd be part of that trade.
Miami wouldn't want to give up nothing else except Tua. They already gave up a lot for the other ones. Remember with Houston?
Oh, that's right. They did give up a bunch for Hill, huh?
Yeah.
And the problem too is if Miami trades Tua, Baltimore is going to say, "Hey guys, everything you just got for Tua, we want that and more." You know, and so you're like, "Damn, they just lost Tua. I just got some stuff. I can't even keep this stuff."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's too much.